Welcome to the official Lost podcast. In today's installment, we meet with executive producers Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse to discuss Abandoned, as well as a few fan questions. We also talk with Josh Holloway and Daniel Day Kim about their experiences filming the raft sequences in the season finale. For many actors in Hollywood, the idea of doing their own stunts is not just crazy, it's practically unheard of. It's taxing, dangerous, and too thrilling for the average Joe. But not so for the cast of Lost. Filmed in idyllic Hawaii, the cast regularly jumps, swims, and climbs their way through scenes. It's only natural then to expect that Daniel Day Kim and Josh Holloway, who play Jen and Sawyer respectively, would jump at the chance to shoot their raft sequences in the middle of the ocean, in the name of realism. Daniel Day Kim.
The experience of filming on the raft was pretty unique. I'd never done 2 weeks straight on the water, including night shoots. And so, getting my sea legs took a little while, and, watching people get seasick in front of you, it took a little getting used to, but I think it was really necessary for the authenticity of the show. We spend so much time on location and outdoors in Hawaii that, it wouldn't make sense for us to shoot the stuff on the water in a tank somewhere in a studio. We had to take advantage of the natural surroundings, and so I'm really glad we did, because I think it shows on screen. We have some beautiful helicopter shots of the raft on the open sea, and you can't replicate those shots in a studio. So I think all of the effort that we went through was worth it.
So what words are in here? English words. What can you say?
Starboard.
Aft.
Port.
Sail. Eat.
Yeah, she did you well.
I think at our furthest, we were about 2 miles offshore, and, we were in some pretty deep water on, that raft, which was amazingly seaworthy. As a matter of fact, I enjoyed being on that raft more than I enjoyed being on the camera boats and, our green room boats, because it had 2 pontoons. It was a catamaran, so it was very stable in rough water. So, that was an interesting experience, and, I always felt safe, even, if we had to swim for a while, which we did, because they took care of us. There were always boats around, safety boats, and, it made it a lot less precarious.
As Josh Holloway is quick to point out, seasickness can affect anyone.
It takes getting used to, because in owning a boat and taking people out, I realized about 70% of the people I take out got sick. So it's normal. It's not that I'm strong or you're weak. It's 70% of people get sick. You have to acclimate to the sea, and that is what we all had to do. So I find it funny to watch people's behavior and try to be professional, but it's one of the worst feelings you can have, seasickness. And they're all green. I have never seen a quiet throw-up like I did from the sound guy, or from actually the focus puller. He's trying to pull focus, everyone's seasick, and he's like, it's so quiet, and he's back on. It was hilarious to see everyone's sick eyes, but trying to hold it together. It was interesting.
Rudder! Hey, we hit a log. We lost the rudder. Rudder! We're losing it. It's sinking. Stop the boat. Stop the boat. Just pull the sail down. Right. Sawyer! It's sinking!
It's kind of what I got into acting about, doing strange, epic type of things, like jumping off of a waterfall and being in the ocean and doing this sort of thing. And however, when you're actually doing it, you're talking 15 hours on the water, and you're not coming in. They shuttle the food out to you, so you need a strong stomach. And it's difficult and it's grueling, but it's in a way it's epic. It's why I became an actor. I wanted to experience all of these different extremes, if you will.
Josh Holloway and Daniel Day Kim's characters did, of course, return to the shore this season, though filming conditions haven't gotten any easier. They've gone from 10 hours a day in the ocean to 10 hours a day in the jungle, in a pit, all alone. But hey, that's why they became actors. Next up, we hand it over to two of the executive producers from Lost, Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse, as they chat about upcoming episodes and maybe, just maybe, answer a few fan questions.
Welcome to the first ever Lost podcast. I'm Carlton Cuse.
And I'm Damon Lindelof. Carlton is the alto. And,
for the
officially sanctioned. Apparently, there are other podcasts that people are doing about Lost. So this is, we
not with us though, right?
Right.
I don't remember ever doing one.
No, we've never done one before, but I think there are probably people who are doing it. So we don't want to claim that those.
Okay. Well, all right. So anyway, we're here to talk to you guys a little bit about the episode Abandoned, which is airing on ABC, and so one of the things that obviously comes up all the time is whether, if you're a new fan, you can still join in and experience Lost, and the answer is no.
Absolutely not. You've missed the train completely. So
In fact, if you're a new fan listening to this podcast, you're horribly confused. Actually,
you are trying to listen to another podcast, obviously. However, if you want to join the party, I guess there are a couple ways to sort of get in on it. The best way is actually, I think on iTunes now you can get every single episode of Lost, both season 1 and season 2, onto your computer, or to download onto their fancy little new V-Pods. But you can also, of course, go get our DVDs for season 1.
Or, Damon, do you want to just give like a short summary of what happened in season 1? That would be good.
I'll just run it down for you real quick. There's a plane crash. There's like a lot of people on it. They're scared for a while. The island, there's like a monster on there. It scares them, and then I don't know, there's weird stuff happening.
And then Walt gets taken by some others on the boat.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all the important stuff, right?
Yeah, all right.
Oh yeah, Kate and Sawyer kiss.
Kate and Sawyer kiss, right.
He's the sort of gruff, country guy, and she's the pretty fugitive. Oh, she's a fugitive. You need to know that.
Yeah, she's fugitive.
That's pretty much it. I mean, you're caught up, so tune in.
The thing we've had going this season is we have discovered that there are some other survivors of the plane crash that were in the tail section of the plane, and it's kind of become clear that their experience was quite different than the fuselage survivors, although we haven't really explained in great detail yet why, but that's coming up in the series, and you'll get to know a lot more about what the experience of the tailies was like.
As we call them internally.
We call them the tailies, yes.
Because they were in the tail section. And also they have tails, but you don't know that until...
Oh my God, I cannot believe you put that out there.
Major spoiler. But,
that is
we'll figure that out later.
So yeah, and then obviously they've been promoting the fact that somebody dies, which is true, and we just want to always make sure that people believe that the stakes on the show, the life and death stakes on the show, are real. I mean, that's something which is unfortunate that certain characters die, but I think we sort of feel that the recirculation of characters and having new voices and new characters kind of helps the storytelling process on the show.
And, hopefully gives it some sort of emotional resonance. They've been on the island for about 47 or 48 days, so the idea is, that they've suffered a couple casualties since then sort of makes sense. There are other places that, that we have to sort of buy the reality of the show in terms of they're not losing massive amounts of weight or growing lots of facial hair or whatever. But in that sense of the show, we want to, as Carlton says, keep the life and death stakes real and have everybody on the island really sort of emotionally internalize what it is like to lose one of their own. And obviously, the death of this major character is going to sort of track out over the next arc of episodes as everyone sort of deals with the aftermath of it.
Right, and we'll actually finally see the merge of the two groups of survivors, and the death of the character is will be an important story point coming up in that. So what else do we want to talk about, Damon? Should we answer some of these fan questions?
Yes, I think we should. Can I ask you the first one?
Yes, you may.
Because I know you love this question even more than I do. Tony Stark 2000, by the way, I don't know if you know this, Carlton, but Tony Stark is Iron Man's alter ego.
Oh.
Billionaire Tony Stark has built the Iron Man armor so that he can go out and fight crime. So Tony Stark 2000 asks, how many seasons do you have the plot mapped out for? Which is a question we never get asked.
No, we never get asked that question.
Everyone just has a very, very Via con Dios approach to the show. They don't really need to know what we're up to.
Well, Tony Stark 2000. We know what we're doing next week on the show. I will say that. No, we do have the metaphor we like to use is that we know we're taking a road trip from Los Angeles to Boston, and we get up every day, and Damon and I come into the office, and we don't know on a given day whether we're going to take a rural highway or whether we're going to take the interstate or whether our car is going to break down and we're going to hitchhike. But we know that we have plans to go to certain cities. We're going to go to Omaha. We're going to go to St. Louis. We're going to go to Minneapolis. We're going to go to Wall Drug in South Dakota.
I don't want to go to Minneapolis.
No, see, so if Damon says he doesn't want to go to Minneapolis, then we decide, okay, well, screw that. We'll go to Evanston instead. So, we don't have we do have a general plan as to where we're going, but I think what keeps the show organic and real is the fact that we write the episodes episode by episode, and we really try to we feed a lot on what the show tells us. We feed on the relationships we see that develop between the characters. We see what kind of dynamics and what sort of pairings work between certain characters. Certain pieces of mythology the audience really responds to, and then we decide to spend more time on those aspects of the mythology. And so it's kind of an organic thing. We guide the show, but we also listen to the show a lot in terms of it telling us what it wants to be.
And then, obviously, the LA to Boston analogy sort of is a season-by-season analogy. Obviously, JJ and I, created the show sort of, for those of you who do have the DVD, very much on the fly. It was, over a course of very few weeks, sort of designing exactly what the pilot was going to be. Carlton came on very shortly after that, and obviously all of us started talking about sort of the bigger picture in terms of, well, if we're starting in Los Angeles, how are we going to end up in, Minsk? So it's like season.
Minsk?
Yeah, exactly. Well, see, it's hard to get to Minsk. Season 3 is we will port out of Boston and cross the Atlantic and land somewhere in Europe, and we'll have to figure out that. But we're gradually there's a big picture within the bigger picture. So it's always in service of that, because I feel obviously as fans.
You're not going to tell them about the time travel,
No.
Okay.
I'm not going to at all. I mean, in fact, I'm going to go back in time right now and prevent you from having said that.
Oh my God.
But there are sort of bigger picture elements in play that are multi-season arcs as opposed to just the seasonal arc, which is sort of the day-to-day of what we do when we come in and eat breakfast together.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question, Damon.
Please, Carlton.
Lost Away 1000, and Lost Away is actually a clever play on the word lost, and it's not related to any sort of comic book character.
And Lost Away 1000 is only half as cool as Tony Stark 2000.
I mean, if you want to get a question read on one of these podcasts, my suggestion is that you name yourself something with a 3000 for next time.
Or just go right to 9000, because that's going to get you on.
When, Damon, are we going to see Charlie back in the thick of things on the show? His fans have missed him this season.
Well, Carlton, I think one of the things about setting up the sort of first act of this season, sort of the first 7 or 8 episodes, was so focused on introducing these new survivors from the tail section, and also what the aftermath of going into the hatch was. So unfortunately, sort of the Charlie and Claire of it all, becomes a much more central focus in the mid-range of episodes. So I think all you Charlie fans, and certainly Claire fans as well, are going to see a lot more of those two as we get into episodes sort of 8 through 13 or 14. He'll be sort of coming front and center. Obviously, we know from the season finale that Charlie has come into the possession of a Virgin Mary statue that contains heroin, which is his drug of choice. So sort of the emotional struggle of him having that, and his growing relationship with Claire and her baby, who he is now bonding with in a very intense and fatherly way, which we think is a really interesting dynamic for them to have, considering they've never even kissed and they're not husband and wife, but they're almost.
It's like most married parents with a small child.
They
have no sex.
They've just become father and mother. It's a very chaste relationship. So yeah, you're going to be getting a lot of Charlie. Obviously, we're huge Dom Monaghan fans, and hopefully everybody is really, really hungry for those stories because we think they're going to be pretty cool.
It's just hard. We have so many characters on the show that we can't service them all, and we try to service several in each episode. And as we're sort of moving along in the season, hopefully people will be patient if they haven't seen enough of the characters they like. They're coming up. We promise you. All right. Well, I think
Carlton,
that's about it.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Can I ask you one more question?
Yes, you may.
This is a very short, simple question. No Button asks. No, I don't even know if we should answer this because there's no numeral after No Button. We'll just call him No Button 6000.
Are you sure that's No Bouton?
No, New Bouton. I hope, hopefully, in reference to our button. Is there going to be a soundtrack CD?
Well, Damon, thank you. I'm glad you asked that.
Well, No Button asked it.
Oh, No Button asked that.
Just conveying it.
Oh, thank you. Yes, there is a plan for a soundtrack CD. The selection of music on the show is obviously something we take a lot of pride in, and it is in the works. But like all these things, it just takes a long time to work its way through all of the business divisions of the Disney ABC company. So that will be happening, and obviously you'll hear more about that when it gets closer to its release.
Obviously, to that end, Michael Giacchino, who is the composer of Lost and actually recently won the Emmy for his compositions, is a genius. And just sort of as a tidbit for those of you who don't know this, Michael actually has a live orchestra every week that he convenes. I don't know how many pieces it is.
It's like 30.
It's like a 30-piece orchestra with percussion and everything else. That he writes original music for the show and actually, records all that stuff with a live orchestra, 23 times a year. So every time we write a script, Michael is writing an original score piece. So hopefully,
and he saves our ass most of the time.
Most of the time. So hopefully, some of that beautiful music will get to see the light of the day. Because we don't use a lot of popular music in this show. It's mostly score.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you, Damon. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you, Carlton.
Bye, fans.
Talk to you next week, I guess.
That about wraps up our first podcast. Join us next time as we again talk with the writers from Lost. You can get additional content and submit your own fan questions at lost.abc.com.